Now, the First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're starting a robust Facebook Live, First Coast News Plus, et cetera, stream here with a risk of thunderstorms as we go through our afternoon. I'm meteorologist Lewis Turner here from First Coast News. So glad you're joining me. And one of the features I'd love to do is answer your questions. If you have any questions you want to chime in, I'm checking personally. I've got pulled up on my phone here right in front of me the First Coast News Facebook page live feed. So that'll be the easiest way to get it. Otherwise, I got Andy running the ones and twos, and he will shout very politely, because he's like number one most polite guy I've ever known, to any questions that come through. So you see there, the title is Previewing Monday's Storms, and I've started with our weather impact alert graphic. So it's the when, the impact, and the need. So I'm going to kind of give you the overall view here, sort of the introduction paragraph to our essay, and then we'll move into some granular detail. I'll show you what's happening right now, and then what is coming downstream from upstream, because we got to look upstream to see what's moving downstream. But remember, within any stream, there are obstacles that you will face within the river or the brook, like rocks, and in the case of storms, we've got maybe drier air or other stable issues that might impede or enhance storms. So when? Today, of course, Monday, 5 to 10 is what we're watching, and really focusing in on that impacts of strong to severe weather, mainly in southeast Georgia. And I'm also going to be looking at the I-10 corridor, so from Suwannee County from Live Oak into Columbia County of Lake City and on over to Baker County, just riding right up along I-10 as we get to that 5 to 10 p.m. time frame. Notice Duval certainly within this, but the threat is a little lower for Duval and certainly counties south, and I'll show you why with computer modeling. And of course, the need, as always, have your weather alerts on. So if you're going to be away from the TV or the stream or your big mobile device, your bigger devices, your mobile device will be a great tool to have, because if you've got the First Coast News app handy and your alerts turned on, if anything does go severe, we'll send that alert directly to you. That's the big thing. So let's go into what's happening right now. If you look at our radar picture, and this has satellite layers on it as well, not much in the way of cloud cover. So you look at the here and now, you see not much in the way of cloud cover. The rain on the far right-hand side of your screen in the beginning of that loop, that's what was bringing us that rain. If you were underneath some showers yesterday, some folks, Duval got they report 0.3 of an inch of rain, so certainly some rain, but St. John's, Clay, Putnam got a good bit of rain yesterday. That system has now since moved offshore and is a totally separate event from what we're watching out to the west. And that line that we're seeing there is what we have our eyes on. It now is moving the northern end of this through the mountains of Alabama, dipping into central Alabama, down, almost making its way to the panhandle of Florida, at least right there along the Bama-Florida line, through southern Mississippi along I-10, and then down into Louisiana, where Louisiana has kind of the brunt of what would be the most severe of the weather. The red boxes there would represent severe thunderstorm watch areas. The watch, of course, would be the area where the ingredients are ripe for severe development. But it's where you see the warning, which is here in southern Louisiana, that yellow box, that awkwardly drawn polygon there through southern Louisiana, covering the bayous and the bays, and just south of I-10, moving across New Orleans now, but making its way into southern Louisiana. So let's take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning. Now so it's a big area, right? It's really covering that main squall line. That's the leading edge of that line that will be getting 58 mile an hour and up wind. So that's talking about a pretty big area, a pretty long stretch of 50 mile an hour and up, close to 60 mile an hour winds. So that this storm system has had the history of, we've seen tornado warnings with this, but also the strong straight line winds. Now, what I will say is we look kind of up towards Mobile, no severe thunderstorm warnings here, so not quite reaching that threshold with the 50 to 60 mile an hour range, getting closer. You got to get 58 miles an hour technically to have that severe thunderstorm warning, so kind of that bigger look now. What I'm showing you here with this line is kind of your distance to what we call our first coast, and the southeastern Georgia counties of the first coast. So seeing that stretch from Montgomery towards where I've drawn the line of Ware County, that'd be 272 miles still left to travel before that leading edge gets here. Going to run into a little bit of trouble in the atmosphere. So a lot of this will tend to fall apart a bit, maybe rebuild with the heat and humidity of the day. Some of those conditions I'll look at in just a moment. But it's a pretty robust line moving now across the area. Got a question from Chris Jackson. I appreciate it. Any storms for South Jacksonville or St. John's area, or is it mostly North Jacksonville, Georgia area? I would say, given the choice of those two, I'm going to say mostly a South Georgia, North Jacks type of situation. And that line of I-10 that you see there on the map, that east-west running interstate, of course, that's going to be kind of my line. North of that, I think, is where the worst of the weather will be, the greater chance of seeing severe thunderstorms, maybe even an isolated tornado. And then points south of I-10, the lower chance. But we'll kind of time that out for you in just a moment. I also drew a distance line to Duval, of course. So we're talking about another 324 miles that this is going to have to travel in order to get that weather here for us. All right, so let's talk other current conditions. So you got to have the heat, you got to have humidity, you got to have instability in the atmosphere meeting that trigger mechanism of the front coming through. Right now we are in the mid 70s, and we're forecasting high temperatures today before the line arrives in Jacksonville of the mid and upper 80s. So we're going to have some people flirting with the 90s today in some of our southern counties, like Palatka already at 75. I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting very close to 90 today, and that'll be a theme throughout the 7-day forecast. But we'll have the temperatures necessary to get some of those thunderstorms going. Now, what about the dew points? Now, this is a measure of the moisture in the atmosphere. We get relative humidity when you factor in the air temperature plus your dew point. We're in those 60s. And that's kind of a bit humid. That's not the tropical. Now, if you're getting up greater than the 70 degree or up and over 65 degrees where we're seeing in Jacksonville, Waycross, and then you're getting 65 to 70. You are getting up there towards humid and tropical. I'm looking at you, St. Simons and Brunswick, and then out towards Waycross where we anticipate seeing some of the strongest of the storms. Need a good low-level wind, so you get those southwest winds building in. Right now, the strongest of the winds up towards Brunswick. So let's look at some computer modeling. And this is our one. I'm going to show you a couple of different models. So this model in particular, kind of your wider view of everything, it really shows. I'm going to kind of zoom back one more time. I'm going to start that model again. Watch what happens with this line. Really showing it falling apart as we get towards that 5 to 10 o'clock time frame. And that's why I answered Chris's question with, is this going to be a St. Johns County, Southern Duval type event? And why I lean towards not as much as what we see in southeast Georgia. So we'll kind of forward through. Now, a few showers are actually going to linger in with our Tuesday, nothing thunderstorm related. Then we get that high pressure offshore. Look at Thursday. Notice those winds moving counterclockwise around that center just off the coast of the Carolinas. Man, is that going to pump in some southerly winds, some tropical air, and we might start talking about sea breeze thunderstorms on the heat and the humidity of the day. So let's look at what the Storm Prediction Center is painting for us right now, considering that one computer model run, considering what's moving out of Montgomery right now. So this is your overall risk of severe thunderstorms. So we're talking about an enhanced risk. This is a 3 out of 5 on the chance of seeing some severe weather. And notice how that sliver of orange does cover a little corner of northern Ware and far northern Pierce counties. So Waycross, Blackshear, with that enhanced risk of seeing some severe weather today. Slight risk for Duval and south, really more of a marginal risk. Now, what about the tornado risk? That we can kind of get granular with this and talk about the individual risk of severe threat. So 5% risk of seeing a tornado through the inland southeast Georgia counties and along the I-10 corridor. Now you're getting down to less than 2% chance of that for Duval, Clay, parts of St. Johns and Putnam County. What about your wind risk? So for severe weather winds, you got to have 58 miles an hour and up. That's where you get the damage, you get things tossed about and other issues. So that red, that 30% chance of seeing the severe winds does include that portion of Ware and Pierce County. You get down to that 15% severe wind risk for the rest of inland southeast Georgia, the I-10 corridor out towards Baker, Columbia, Sewanee County, Duval now on that 5% chance of getting those winds. Hail risk, 5% and below for most of the entire area. If anything, we'd see some potentially pea-size or smaller hail with all of this. So let's talk more fine-tuned timing. So this is your high-resolution model here. This is updating frequently, high resolution, rapid refresh. So we call it the HER model, and it's showing that time frame we've been kind of honing in on, that 5 to 10 o'clock leading edge of those showers and storms. You see those individual embedded, almost finger-shaped cells would indicate heavy downpours, strong winds, that severe wind potential, and even the potential for some rotation, which would mean an isolated tornado. This is still looking at Duval. You see this line would still be far west of you. So even after dinner time or around dinner time, Duval, St. John's, Clay, Putnam, Baker County, even Nassau, still east of the system, but that line is moving in. Kind of fast forwarding to about 8 o'clock, some of those showers have now moved east of Ware and Pierce, moved into Nassau, Camden, Glenn counties, Charlton County, and even west side of Duval and on the I-10 corridor, thinking Columbia County, as you can see, Baker County, Union, and Bradford as well. Going ahead a couple of hours to about 9 o'clock, some rain moving in, more rain than severe, but don't be surprised if in Duval about this time frame we are hearing some rumbles of thunder. Now the benefit of this timing is this would be after sunset. We're losing the daytime heating. We're losing a lot of that convective potential. By 10, 11 o'clock, that's all moved out. This was the first model I showed you, but a closer look at it where things tend to fall apart. So this is a second look, and why I'm not overly confident in Duval getting any sort of widespread damage here from this system. This model showing a little weaker system by 5:30, 6 o'clock. Notice that line not quite to Ware, Pierce County, moving across quickly, then leaving just a few stray showers overnight into the early morning time of Tuesday. So nonetheless, while I do think, and then I did mention the sea breeze, showers and storms. Look at Wednesday. Now with the heat, the humidity, we're starting to see temperature differentials between and pressure differentials between the ocean and the land. That could create a little sea breeze collision between the Gulf, the Atlantic, and we're getting into that time of year. So things that we'll think about looking ahead Wednesday, Thursday as our temperatures really do begin to climb. So hour by hour, focusing in on that 5 to 10 p.m. time frame with the potential of thunderstorms, essentially really honing in on inland southeast Georgia. So let's go county by county. Ware, Brantley, Pierce, 5 to 11, strong winds, isolated severe, have your apps handy. That's where we could get the most damaging. Going to kind of in priority. So number 1, thinking about Ware and Pierce. 2, Glenn, Camden, Charlton, and Nassau County, really focusing on the inland side, the west of I-95 area with gusty winds, 50 miles an hour and up possible there. Having the apps ready, but also secure an outdoor property. Also focused on the I-10 area, Columbia, Baker, Union, and Bradford. Looking a little later, maybe 8 o'clock, we could start to see some of those storms, but you could probably hear rumbles of thunder later. Duval, smaller severe risk, but absolutely could still see some lightning, which means we'll hear the rumbles of thunder. This will be a little bit later, again, showing a little after dinner time tonight, would be very, very quick moving here. Now our southern counties, Clay and Putnam, and over to St. John's as well. Rain will be ending that 8 to 10 o'clock time frame. I'm not seeing a widespread major event for you in Clay, Putnam, St. John's, or Flagler County as most showers will begin falling apart. I do think for St. John's, Clay, Putnam, your big event was yesterday with the rainfall totals. So kind of wrapping things up just a bit. We're going to look at your 7-day forecast. Got a couple more minutes I'm going to spend with you, but certainly have highlighted the weather impact alert for the second half of our day today, and really the last third of our day for our intents and purposes when we're talking about the drive home from work, especially Ware, Pierce, Charlton County, maybe Western Glen as well, Brantley County in inland southeast Georgia. We've got that highlighted for you. Now, I want to say if you're watching the stream in Duval, you're going to go through most of your day today, plenty of sun, clouds mixture with those temperatures rising up to the mid and upper 80s. So we're going to be very, very warm throughout the rest of our day today. And notice also, we're highlighting weather impact alert because of the inconvenient nature, how outdoor plans could have to be changed, or how there could be some severe weather that pops up in isolated pockets in some of the area, but it's still just 40% of us who are going to be seeing any real rainfall, any measurable tenth of an inch or more of rain. That's not overly significant, but certainly when we add the extra element of the potential for severe and what we've been seeing happening in Louisiana, in Alabama, and points west, you got to consider that. So we move beyond Monday. We keep a little rain in the forecast for Tuesday, some lingering drizzle early morning Tuesday, but nothing that's going to cancel plans and certainly not meeting the threshold of what we would call a weather impact alert day. But notice we stay in those mid 80s. And then kind of getting back into the remainder of our 7-day forecast, look how close we are to 90. Now, we're sticking to that 87 to 89 range throughout the rest of that 7-day forecast, and this may even be a bigger story. Certainly the storms today, a story, and story A number 1, but as we get closer and closer to the weekend, we're going to have plenty of measuring sites out there and plenty of thermometers around the region that are going to be registering 90 degrees. And with that heat and certainly humidity that'll be coupled with it, you remember sea surface temperatures right now are in the mid and upper 60s. So with that, we can start to get some sea breeze front development and isolated showers and thunderstorms within that each afternoon. That's why we have that 10% chance on there. So be safe today. We will, of course, be with you. First Coast Living, I'll jump in real quick and do a forecast with them, but I'll be with you at noon as well. And then you'll see our evening guys about 4 o'clock. Be safe. Have a wonderful Monday.